Myself, Dr. Parag Saudagar, and I represent a company called SK Biobiz Private Limited. SK Biobiz is into manufacturing and supply of probiotics and enzymes for various applications in human, in animal health, and in agriculture. Um, our major forte has been on Bacillus spore production, and that is the topic for today's talk. That is use of Bacillus spores and its applications in human, in animal feed supplement, and in agriculture. This particular organism is extremely important as far as industrial applications are concerned. And what we will, when we are going through the presentation, my major focus will be on emphasizing what are the advantages of Bacillus spores, whether it is humans or whether it is animal or in agriculture. Um, I will also touch base on certain properties, why these bacillus are gaining importance as compared to lactobacillus. And as well as we'll touch base on certain case studies of use of bacillus spores in the seed applications. It's also important that how these strains are developed for particular applications. So I will touch base on that part also, on screening of certain bacillus strains for and their important applications. So to start with, we all know that we live in the world of microbes basically, and this is very well known that there are 10 times more bacterial cells in our body as compared to human cells. That is, in 2004, when the Human Microbiome Project was published, it clearly said that there are 10 trillion human cells, whereas a human body houses 100 trillion microbial cells in the body. Now, these cells are how these organisms are distributed in our gut. It's a huge population of the microorganisms in our body, which constitutes almost around 17 families, more than 50 genera are there. There are more than 500 species in a single person which are identified. However, the most important part is only 80 to 90% of the entire microbiome is unculturable. That is only 10% you can actually culture them and use them as a source of probiotics. Of the 10 to the power 14 microorganisms, the figure shows how they are distributed with the gut region having the more unfavorable conditions. Only few lactobacilli survive in these regions. And as we go on towards the colon, the number of bacterial cells or the bacterial species, they increase as the conditions become more favorable. So you have, if we talk about bacillus strains, they are more evenly distributed in the colon, ileum and colon region. That is where you can isolate them in a major part in a human body. The entire phenomenon of use of probiotics in human is based on two major symptoms. You can say them as eubiosis and dysbiosis. Eubiosis is a condition when the good and the bad bacteria are in harmony, and this is an ideal condition which you require for a healthy human being. When the number of bad bacteria increase, especially when you eat a junk food or when you are under chronic illness or under antibiotic usage, what really happens is the number of bad bacteria, they increase, and this creates a disturbance in the entire system, and this condition is called as a dysbiosis. Now, the phenomenon what we are looking for when we are using probiotics in humans is to have a balance wherein the number of good bacteria have to be more as compared to the bad bacteria. And hence, we use probiotics when the number of bad bacteria are higher. This creates an equilibrium. Uh, as per the WHO, the probiotics are defined as the live microorganisms, which when administered in adequate quantities, they will confer health benefit to the host. Okay, and then these probiotics, when they are used in adequate quantities, they are extremely helpful in all different forms of lives. For example, in human, in poultry, in pigs, in cattle, in aqua, in agriculture. They also find applications in wastewater treatment and so on. They are live enzymes basically, and extremely important as far as all the industries are concerned today. Now, when we talk about bacillus, there are several advantages why these bacillus are very important. We'll just try to identify a few of the major advantages of bacillus strains. Now, if you see a normal probiotic bacteria or any bacteria, they usually multiply by binary fission and they grow. So it's usually a single cell gets divided into two cells, then two into four, four into say, four into eight, and so on. And this is called as binary fission. And this continues till the nutrient supplies are available. And once the nutrients are depleted, what happens is the cells go into the death phase. This is true with all the bacterial cells or all the probiotics, lactobacillus strains, which are used as probiotics. In case of bacillus strains, there is another phenomenon which occurs, that is, in case of lack of nutrition, these bacillus are very clever and they enter into a specific phenomena which is called as sporulation, wherein they get converted into a dormant life cycle. Okay, so spore is nothing but a dormant life cycle, and this dormant nature and the spore nature of the bacillus confers it a huge number of advantages. If you see the spore structure, it is extremely difficult to penetrate the spore, as well as it is very hard, and it confers all the properties to the bacillus spores. The spore structure contains the inner spore core, the outer cortex, the inner coat, and the outer coat. The entire genetic material remains in the dormant form in the spore core. And once the nutrients are again available, they again convert from the sporulation stage to the vegetative cell. Why Bacillus is basically preferred over Lactobacillus strains? There are different ways by which it is explained. One is the genetic potential. If you consider a normal lactobacillus species which are used as probiotics, it will usually have around 1800 to 3100 genes, whereas that a bacillus species will have 3000 to 6000 genes. What does this explain is it has more 3000 to 6000 more applications which can be identified with the bacillus strains. As we said earlier, the bacillus have a major property of formation of the spore, which gives it a pH stability, heat stability, toleration to bile salts, acids, extremely high shelf life, can be stored at a room temperatures. This is extremely important as far as all the applications, industrial applications are concerned. They have a complex mode of actions, definitely, both of them, lactic acid as well as bacillus, and the major activities are distributed around either production of enzymes, production of metabolites, improving the immunity of the organism, and improving the overall health of the organism. How the genetic variations, the genotypic difference at the strain level of Bacillus is important. So if I consider simple Bacillus subtilis strain, okay, there with different species, you can see here there are three Bacillus subtilis strains with three different species. And if you see, if you overlap the genetic makeup of these strains, what we see is that they have a number of open reading frames which they share together. So in all the three species, Bacillus subtilis, there are almost 3,299 open reading frames which are common to all the Bacillus subtilis. But what is more important to know here is there are specific open reading frames with each of the Bacillus subtilis species, which are unique to them and which make them unique for different applications. So this is extremely important as far as each and every strain is concerned. This makes it very important that you have to screen each and every strain and each for different applications. Basically, even you have so many cultures of Bacillus subtilis into the market, but each strain has its unique properties, and these unique properties are associated with these unique open reading frames. So probiotics in use, if I consider today, there are n number of lactobacillus strains, bifidobacterium strains. Other than bifidobacterium and lactobacillus, you have streptococcus, enterococcus, propionibacter strains, even yeast, which has come into picture into huge applications. And along with them, you have all bacillus strains basically. So there are almost 16 to 17 bacillus strains which are industrially very well known. They have gained QPS qualifications, that is qualified presumption of safety. This particular presumption of safety is this particular term is used in European Union. GRAS, this is majorly used, the term is majorly used, that is generally regarded as safe, is used for the US US probiotic associations. And for Indian, ICMR has given different guidelines basically for the regulations of probiotic use in the Indian market. Just to have a basic idea on the regulation part, I will just touch base on the European Union, that is European Food Safety Authority has given the qualified presumption of safety approach for the use of probiotics in European Union. The EFSA doesn't consider the safety of the finished formulation or the use of the probiotic in the finished formulation. It is mainly assigned to the probiotic usage only. So they will test only the probiotic and not the end application. So all the safety assurances with the probiotic strain itself. It classifies organisms into 4 different categories, that is gram-positive non-sporulating bacteria, which majorly are lactobacillus, bifidobacterium species. Then they have a specific category for bacillus species, yeast and filamentous fungi. If we consider how you get a QPS status, is basically you need to have an antimicrobial resistance. You need to have measure of toxicogenic potential, hemolysis, cell toxicity, detection of NRPS synthesis genes, and the strain characterization with reference to API, 16S, whole genome sequencing, and anaerobic growth test. So if all these criteria are fulfilled by the probiotic in use, and if they are considered to be safe and if the safety and efficacy is proved under all these criteria, then only the strain can be considered under the QPS. In India, the Indian Council of Medical Research, it gives it it confers the probiotic it sanctions the probiotic to be used in food or in human applications. Different regulations are already in place for as far the food applications are concerned. A new draft guidelines by ICMR state that most of the probiotics, most of the Bacillus or Lactobacillus strains today in the Indian market, they are from the foreign origin and have been tested and proved for safety and efficacy on the foreign population. Whereas now the regulations state that all these probiotics should be tested, clinically tested in the Indian population, as the food habits, our microbiomes are very different to the Western population, basically. So they have again so all the strains which are considered under GRAS in US FDA automatically come under under these guidelines, but along with the additional test, which is the clinical trials on the human population in India has been made mandatory. FSSAI has also put list of probiotics to be used in human applications. So the ICMR-led guidelines, they are under three major principles, that is good manufacturing practices, HACCP, that is hazard analysis and critical control point analysis during the manufacturing, and the principles of food hygiene and guidelines. So it again states that the strain has to be completely characterized to the species level. It has to be deposited with the international and national depositories to be used in the food applications. In vitro and in vivo safety and efficacy tests have to be done. Clinical trials on humans have to be done. Most importantly, the labeling instructions now states that the serving size for the efficacy, storage conditions, and more importantly, they have included that the label claim has to be added, or the health claim has to be added now on the food label part. So coming to developing a probiotic strain. For developing a bacillus strain for a particular applications, it's very important that how do you find a winner strain? And there are four different stages and by which we usually follow. One is the bacterial input, so that involves the isolation of the bacterial cells. Then phenotypic screening, which involves it's all the characterization, its properties like enzyme production, pH tolerance, bile tolerance, production of volatile products, bacteriocin productions. This may be useful for human as well as for animal healthcare as well as for agriculture applications. Stress tolerance are there. Antibiotic resistance is extremely important to qualify it as a probiotic. Growth kinetics and toxicity. If I'm talking about a plant probiotic, then the other conditions which usually are considered is production of phytohormones, siderophore production, stress tolerance, then metabolite productions for its biopesticides or bioinsecticide applications. So these all come under the phenotypic screening part. Once that is done, you have a known strain. Basically, it's very important to understand whether is it economic to produce that strain, and then comes the part of the bulk scale production, basically. So this just to give you an example for two different strains of Bacillus pumilus and Bacillus subtilis. So when you isolate them, they have to be sent for identification by 16S rDNA, wherein they get identified to the species level. Once you put it for different screening, phenotypic screening, as here you can see that they are screened for different enzymes which are used for different applications, especially if you can see cellulase, phytase, alanase, then catalase, protease and amylase. These are more important for applications in humans as well as in animal healthcare, wherein these enzymes improve the feed conversion ratios in animal by improving the digestion, as well as in humans, they improve the digestion. As far as the same product, same probiotic Bacillus strains, if you want to use them in agriculture, then the activities like phytase for phosphate solubilization, phosphatase for phosphate solubilization, or nitrate reductase or acid productions, which are there for the solubilization of different ions, or in making availability of different ions, these become extremely important. um, Siderophore production, indole acetic acid, that is a plant hormone, or PGPR activities are extremely important in plant applications. And then comes the antimicrobial part, wherein you screen them for against different plant pathogens as well as different animal identified pathogens. These stages are involved to develop or to identify whether the strain has a potential for a probiotic application. Once you have a potential strain which has a broad spectrum of activities, then you go for the process development stages, wherein it involves right from development of frozen or the mother stock cultures, then to you inoculate them, optimize them to a shake flask level, to a seed fermenter, and to a production fermenter level. Only and only when you have a clear idea that you can produce the strain economically, then these strains go into the next stage of applications. This is just an idea of a production plant which involves different stages, that is the fermentation, then the downstream will usually involve a microfiltration or a centrifugation and a spray drying. And once you have the product in place, then the finished product is done by blending of the different strains, diluents, and other ingredients. The last stage in the in knowing the winner strain is basically testing it on the efficacy part, wherein you put it for large scale field trials, which involves if it is for animal healthcare, you may have a large scale poultry trial or a greenhouse agricultural trials. And then once they are proven at that stage, then they go for the commercial applications. Sorry. Um, there is unique applications for Bacillus spores which involve like having a nutritional value. Uh, there are several Bacillus strains which have been identified to produce different pigments, which are nothing but the nutritional value pigments. They are nothing but carotenoids like lycopene, carotene, gamma carotene, phytene. Um, we also have developed a similar strain of Bacillus indicus, Bacillus, it's SKB 148, which is an orange colored producing pigment produces spores. Basically, the advantages of having pigments in the spores is basically it improves the nutritional value of the entire spore. The pigments are usually antioxidants. They have extremely good antioxidant activities and hence confer very good health benefits. Once you have the extract these pigments from the bacterial source, they are highly unstable. Whereas when they are inside the spore coat, they are stable under room temperature conditions. You can expose them to light also, they are light stable. So the applications become extremely useful. The biggest advantages are you can have different pigments in the same organism, whereas you can see here the orange color is usually found after the sporulation, whereas the yellowish color is usually found before in the vegetative cells. So based on the application part, you can formulate or you can design the product as per the applications. So Bacillus extremely important strains as they also confer nutritional benefits along with the probiotic activities. Coming to plant probiotics, the different applications in plant probiotics, if you consider, they are used as biofertilizers. The Bacillus strains, as I said, they have been extremely useful in as a phosphate solubilizing bacteria, as a potash mobilizing bacteria, zinc solubilizing bacteria, nitrogen fixing Bacillus strains are available. They confer PGPR activities, and also extremely important in composting or biocomposting. As I said, enzymes play a very important role. The enzyme producing ability of Bacillus strains play an extremely important role in this. For example, production of phytase, production of phosphatase, production of lipases, production of organic acids, as I said. It's extremely important. There are strains like Bacillus coagulans, which produce lactic acid, extremely important in human, animal, as well as in agriculture applications. Um, we have all been known on Bacillus subtilis used as a biofungicide, but there are different Bacillus strains like Bacillus pumilus, Bacillus valezensis, Bacillus megatherium. There is Bacillus vallis mortis, which find extremely high antimicrobial activities, and they have been used as a biofungicide applications. Consortium of Bacillus strains are always better than using a single strain in biofungicide or in biofertilizer applications because of the diverse natures of the strains, their ability to utilize different substrates, and also their activities under different climate conditions. Bioinsecticide applications, Bacillus sphaericus, extremely known for its applications in to control mosquito larvae, and has been now a source of Bacillus strain for treatment along with Bacillus thuringiensis for dengue and other mosquito related and malaria infections. Bacillus firmus has gained extremely more importance in nematode applications as an anti-nematicide. Um, it's also used as bioinsecticides against different plant pests. Coming to novel applications of Bacillus in fruits and vegetables, due to these enzyme producing abilities and its survivability abilities in the plant zone, these bacillus confer an extremely important role in pesticide residue uh, degradation or lowering of the pesticide residues. The products find extremely good applications in post-harvest as well as pre-harvest. For example, there's an example of this product SKB Resigo, which has been used to reduce pesticide residues for the export-oriented crops today. Example in grapes, wherein the European grapes are exported in a huge quantities to Europe, to China, to Bangladesh, wherein there are MRL levels set by the European Union that the pesticide residues have to be very low, or they have to be absent in the finished produce. So these products are used before harvesting to reduce the pesticide residues in the finished product. Just a case study here wherein the product was applied on 0 day and on 7 day, and then the pesticide residues were checked on the 21st day of the after treatment, wherein you see that there is more than 90 to 97% degradation of the pesticide in the finished produce. And this helps the farmer to fetch higher cost of the produce, as well as the end produce is completely pesticide residue free. This is again another application in agriculture wherein Bacillus strains are used for treatment of powdery mildew. Again, very extremely important application wherein if you see in grapes after 90 days to around 130 to 140 days, NRC has laid guidelines wherein you cannot use any fungicide, chemical fungicide or any pesticide, insecticide, so as to have the pesticide residues under MRL. And it becomes, and this is the area which is more, this time basically usually comes during November to February, March, and it's more prone to powdery mildew because of the lower time climate conditions as well as higher humidity. So use of this bacillus is a survival to the farmer, and bacillus has been widely used to treat powdery and downy mildew infections during these stages. So I invite for questions. There are a lot of things which can be covered basically in Bacillus strains and its applications. Considering the time constraint, I would stop with my presentation here. And anybody who wants to know or wants to ask any questions, you are free to answer. I will be available to answer them. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Parag, for a very detailed presentation. So I will quickly take up some questions. Yeah. Okay. So there would be some basic questions which you must have already covered. Still, I'll just read out. So what are Bacillus spores and how do they differ from other beneficial microbes used in agriculture?
Yeah, so Bacillus spores, as I said, they are quite heat stable. The shelf life of the products are quite high. You can go to as high as around 3 years of shelf life with the Bacillus spores, as compared to the regularly used biofertilizers, which are non-spore formers. They have usually a shelf life ranging from 6 months to 1 year. So this is a major advantage. You can concentrate the spores to very high extent and reduce the dose to as low as 100 grams per acre, uh, to even into a capsule form, which can be say 1 gram or 2 grams tablet or a 1 gram capsule for the entire acre applications. So you can concentrate them, you can have it as a stable product. These products are stable to higher temperatures and can withstand almost around 45 to 50 degrees Celsius temperature. Uh, so quite advantageous as compared to other regularly used biofertilizers, which do not withstand that high temperatures. pH stability, as I said, they are quite stable from pH 3.5 to pH 9. You can have them stable. They are stable at higher salt concentration, so you can apply them to soils with higher salinity. So yes, it has a broad range of applications. You can use them along with the chemical fertilizers, basically, if they are in a powder form, because they do not interact as they are in a spore, in a dormant form, till the time water is available to them. Yeah.
Okay. And how do Bacillus spores function in the social and plant rhizosphere to promote plant growth or disease resistance?
I didn't get you. Can you repeat?
1 minute. I'll just paste this question in the chat box. 1 second. One second. Yeah.
How do bacillus spore function in the soil and plant rhizosphere to promote plant growth or disease resistance? Yes. So as I said, that there are 3 to 4 different applications. One is enzyme production, wherein they produce different enzymes. Second is they produce secondary metabolites. They produce they produce plant hormones like indole acetic acid, gibberellins. They produce siderophores for ion chelation in the plant rhizosphere, which again helps in the disease resistance, wherein they compete with other organisms, as well as give growth promoting activities. And as I mentioned, they also produce organic acids, which help in solubilization of the unavailable nutrients in the soil and make them available to the plants. Yeah.
Okay. And which bacillus species are most effective in agriculture and for what specific purposes? Example, nitrogen fixation, pathogens suppression, growth promotion.
Yeah, so we can divide them into 3 different categories. One is biofertilizer application, wherein you have organisms like Bacillus megaterium, which is for phosphate solubilization. You have Bacillus mucilaginous for potash mobilization. You have Bacillus pumilus, Bacillus licheniformis, Bacillus azotofixans, azotoformans for nitrogen fixation and nitrogen solubilization also. If you consider, then the next category is biopesticide or antimicrobial or biofungicide applications, wherein you have Bacillus subtilis, Bacillus pumilus, Bacillus valezensis. Then there is Bacillus valismotis, which is there. Bacillus coagulans, which is there. They are into the antimicrobial category. And if you consider PGPR, then all these bacillus also fall under the PGPR categories. Now, what is more important is if you really want to have a product, it's always a use of consortium of all these organisms, basically, which is based on their properties. Basically, you have to make the consortium which will be active against diverse conditions. So that is more important. So single strain usually will not perform that good in agriculture as compared to when you use a consortium of Bacillus spores.
Okay. Okay. And can bacillus spores be used in organic farming and do they comply with certification standards?
Yes, they do come into so all organisms basically they are from the natural habitat. They do come under organic farming. It's very important that you have to specify the method of production for them. It's very critical, basically, the media components, what you're using, and have to fall, and the process what you're using have to fall under the organic certifications. So if these points are clear, then all organisms do fall under organic certifications category. They can be self-acclaimed organic certified, or you have certification bodies basically certifying them like EcoCert and POP in India, and Green Cert basically. So there are different bodies for that.
Okay. Yeah. And what is the shelf life of bacillus spores based bioproducts and how should farmers store them for best efficacy?
If it's a liquid product, we usually suggest that it's not more than 6 months to 1 year. If it's a powder, spray dried powdered formulation with a dextrose base or any water soluble base, usually a good manufacturer can provide you a shelf life of around 2 to 3 years. If it is a it is a carrier based, then again it is around 5 months to 7 months shelf life. It all depends upon the manufacturing process. If it's 100% spores which you are supplying, then the shelf life is very high. If you are supplying the product as a vegetative cells with the higher moisture content into it, then the shelf life usually goes down. So you need to have product with a good shelf life. Then it has to be a moisture content less than 5%, a water activity less than 0.4%, 0.4 basically water activity. Um, but yeah, so these couple of criterias you have to consider to have a higher shelf life.
Okay. And are there any crop-specific bacillus formulations, or are they generally broad spectrum?
They are generally broad spectrum. People do have specific plant specific, and but it's not that a particular species is applied to one plant cannot be applied to the other plant. It's more to do with the application studies, what the manufacturer or the scientist has done with a particular crop. So sometimes manufacturer have specific applications that we have to apply this product for pomegranates example. Then they do a lot of studies on pomegranate, and then it automatically becomes pomegranate specific because there are a lot of studies which are available for that strain. Otherwise, uh, there is no generalized rule basically that this is a plant specific or anything. They are of general applications and they can survive under general applications.
Okay. And how are bacillus spores used in animal health, particularly in livestock and poultry?
Yes. So, as I said, in animal health, they have different applications. One is to improve the FCR, that is a feed conversion ratio. So this is extremely important part as far as the economics is concerned. When you consider feed, basically it's very complex, and it becomes very hard for the bird or for the animal to digest that feed and get all the nutrients and the energy from that feed directly. So you need to have enzymes and probiotics as supplements. Uh, Enzymes act immediately, and they release or they break down the complex part into easily available parts. Microorganisms, they strive on this easily available part and they break down into more finer part which are more easily available. So this is how the FCR is improved. Then you have these probacillus spores, which are effective against certain pathogenic infections like Clostridium, that is a major cause for the enteritis. Then you have infections from E. coli, you have infections from Salmonella. Um, then majorly now these days they have a new applications wherein bacillus spores are used to reduce ammonia content in the excretion. They have been used to decrease methane emission in the poultry litter as well as in the in the cow litter, basically cow dung. So they play a very important role now in what you say in greenhouse emissions. Uh, the probiotics are especially find applications today in poultry and in animal healthcare to reduce the use of antibiotics, because the use of antibiotics and anti-nutritional factors have been banned basically in many of the countries. The finished product should not have antibiotics. So probiotics play a very important role to reduce or to eliminate use of antibiotics in poultry as well as in animal healthcare.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
More
once again.
importantly, when you consider these bacillus spores, because of their heat stability, they can be pelletized, especially during the feed manufacturing, wherein the other probiotics like lactobacillus or some yeast, they cannot withstand the pelletization temperature and pressure. So bacillus are the major key source for as a source of probiotic in feed today. Major advantage.
Okay. And what are the proven benefits of bacillus-based probiotics for human health, and are there any risk or precautions?
Proven health, yes, there are a lot of applications. One is against the irritable bowel syndrome. A lot of studies are available for use of Bacillus coagulans, Bacillus subtilis. Bacillus clausii is extremely useful to control diarrhea uh, associated with infections or associated with antibiotic usage. Then Bacillus indicus, as we said, it has a lot of antioxidant properties. Bacillus coagulans has been known to decrease cholesterol. There are a lot of companies who are promoting use of bacterial strains as probiotics. They find a lot of applications today in chocolates, ice creams, in drinkable yogurts, in water-based drinks. So lot of applications are being developed today. In chapatis, people are going to use it considering the heat stable nature of these foods. Gummies are available for the health benefits. Yes, so there are diverse there are bacillus spores which have been reported to have extremely good applications in oral healthcare as well as in women healthcare. So yes, so bacillus have been used for human applications with different in under different areas basically, right, from oral to vaginal healthcare. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any evidence of cross benefits where bacillus products used in animal feed improve manure quality or soil micro microbiota? Microbiota,
Can you
sorry.
repeat it, please? Sorry.
I'll add it in the chat box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Evidence of cross benefits where bacillus products used in animal feed improved manure quality or soil microbiota. Using yes, definitely. See, so these are all advantages basically. Um, for example, the first thing when you give probiotic to a cattle, okay, especially when you give yeast strain along with bacillus and certain enzymes, what we have seen is the first change in the animal which happens is the change in the skin coloration, and then the next change which happens in the is the cow dung quality. So these are the two major changes which you immediately see after applications of probiotics to the cattle. So these changes are seen within 7 to 12 days of application, basically. Um, Cow dung quality is improved because there is improved digestion of the material what the cow eats. So the more the digestion, the softer is the softer and the finer is the cow dung which is available, as well as it is rich in microbial content. So this is extremely important when you feed the organism. The manure is extremely good. As I said, the probiotics help to decrease the release of methane as well as ammonia. So it's extremely important in case of poultry, basically. Reduce level of ammonia is extremely important, especially if you see or if you consider cold climate conditions wherein the poultries are closed and the manure and or the poultry litter is still in the field, excess ammonia which is released, it doesn't go out of the shed, and the birds suffer with a lot of respiratory infections. So reduction in the ammonia level in this case automatically decreases the instances of respiratory infections. So extremely important applications in that. Coming to the soil, the major role for soil fertility is played by the carbon. And the carbon in today Indian soil is less than 0.2, zero point 0.3 is the value for the carbon in the Indian soil. Major contributor to the carbon or to increase the carbon, to increase the fertility of the soil, you need to have huge number of microbial population, live microbial population in the soil. And this is how addition of microorganisms to soil increases the fertility. They will, as the carbon content is going to increase, the soil fertility is going to increase. So this is extremely important for the soil microbiota also. So more amount of biofertilizers are used over the period of time, the better is the soil condition and the better is the condition of the crops over the next generations, basically. Yeah.
Okay. And what challenges exist in formulating Bacillus spore-based products for mass agriculture use?
Yeah,
What,
what?
what challenges
Yeah.
exist in formulating Bacillus spore-based
So,
products for mass
right.
agricultural use?
Yeah. So the major challenge, as I said, is the manufacturing process. People feel that it is easier to manufacture Bacillus spores, but it isn't. It's extremely important that you produce a particular organism for a particular application. So you have to have media compositions specifically designed to have the finished product, that ability to show the application, basically. So if you are producing Bacillus subtilis for antimicrobial activity, you need to produce it in such a way that the antimicrobial properties are retained in the finished product. So this is major challenge. Stability of the spores is again extremely important. It's not only important just to have spores, but it is important to have stable spores, which can give you stability over the period of times, 2 years, 3 years period of time. We have seen Bacillus spores which have stability of less than 2 months also, wherein they lose their ability to germinate. So it's extremely important that the spores have to be produced in a particular way so that they remain the stability. Certain scientific conditions, as I said, the water activity plays a very important role. Contamination during the production process, you need to see to it that the even though it is for agriculture applications, the spores have to be produced in a very pure form, and that determines uh, the efficacy of the product, basically. So these are extremely important things. And as I said, not a single, you don't need to produce a single strain for a particular application. You need to have at least a consortium of 3 to 4 strains. Um, and you need to identify them, you need to screen them, you need to uh, uh, check them for the efficacy in the plant trials, and then only you can have a good formulation out of that. Yeah.
So now we have the last question. What research or innovation
Your voice is breaking.
by Biobiz in the area of
Ma'am,
Bacillus technology?
can you just put it on the this? I'm not able to hear. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yeah, now I can hear you. I just got disconnected for a while. 1 second.
Yeah.
So,
Can
can you
you
hear
repeat
me?
the question?
Okay. Okay. So I'll just, yeah, I'll post in the chat box.
Yeah.
I posted in the box. Hello.
Yeah. If you can paste it in the chat box, ma'am, I have not
I
yet
posted
received.
in the chat.
I
I've
didn't
done.
receive.
I've
What research or
pasted it.
innovations are currently
You
being
can check
pursued
now.
at HK Biobase in the area
Yeah.
of Bacillus? Yeah, so lot of innovations are being done, ma'am. So one of the product, as I said, was Resigo for pesticide residue management is one of them. We are working on as far as agriculture is concerned, we are working on bionematicides. We are working on metabolites, which can be from Bacillus strains, which can be used directly as a for directly for curative actions rather than preventive actions. Um, we are working on a product for animal healthcare and human healthcare, which is called Bacillus indicus, which is a pigment producing, which I presented during the presentation. It's a very novel application of antioxidant in this. Um, we are working on some chlorophyll enhancing Bacillus strains, which is again a novel application. We are developing an effervescent tablet formulation which can be directly added to the water for poultry as well as for agriculture applications. This is going to reduce the handling of the probiotic from 100 grams currently, which we are supplying for 100 grams per acre, to say 5 grams or 10 grams a tablet per acre dose, or use of probiotics. As I said, effervescent tablet can be directly added to the poultry water tank, and that ensures a uniform distribution or uniform application of the probiotic to the entire flock of birds. So a lot of things are going on. We are working on a concept called postbiotics, which is coming up in a big way for animal healthcare applications, and these postbiotics being produced from safety and efficacy proven cultures or registered cultures. They again have an easy format for easy source for applications, as safe ingredients or safe additives to the feed. Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Parag. So I don't see any more questions. So now we have come to end of question round. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, we'd like to thank you for a very detailed presentation and answering all the questions in depth. So
Okay.
we'll be ending this meeting now. Thank you for joining this meeting.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.